Good afternoon. Welcome to Teacher Helen TV. How are you? I hope you are fine. I hope that you have read our reading task. So, let's start. Our topic for this afternoon is about criminal jurisprudence and procedure. So, what is criminology? Criminology is the study of crime from a social perspective, including examining who commits crimes, why they commit them, their impact, and how to prevent them. Learn more about what it is, how it works, and how it differs from criminal justice. According to Celso Bravo, the Philippine government has organized and established institutions which serve to maintain peace and order. These institutions are responsible for preventing crimes, enforcement of laws, and apprehension and prosecution of those who violate the law. If the courts of law find them guilty of committing a crime, they shall be confined in order for those people to be rehabilitated and to be reintegrated into the community as a law-abiding citizens. What is the study of criminology? Criminology is the interdisciplinary study of crime, is both an individual and social phenomenon, with research on the origins and forms of crime, its causes and consequences, and social and governmental reactions to it. What is criminal law? Is that branch of law which defines crimes, treats of their nature, and provides for their punishment. A branch of public or municipal law which defines crimes, treats of their nature, and provides for their punishment. What are the 5 pillars of Philippine criminal justice system? Thus, the 5 pillars of the criminal justice system are law enforcement, the public prosecutor, the judiciary, correctional institutions, and the community. There are also theories in criminal law. These are the following. 1. Classical theory. Juristic theory. The basis of criminal liability is human free will, and the purpose of the penalty is retribution. Best remembered by the maxim, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The purpose of penalty is retribution. The offender is made to suffer for the wrong he has done. A man is regarded as a moral creature who understands right from wrong, therefore, he must be prepared to accept the punishment for his wrongdoings. 2. Positivist theory. The basis of criminal liability is the sum of the social, natural, and economic phenomena to which the actor is exposed. The purposes of penalty are prevention and correction. This theory is exemplified in the provisions regarding impossible crimes and habitual delinquency. A tendency towards crime is the product of one's environment. There is no such thing as a natural-born killer. 3. Eclectic or mixed theory. It is a combination of positivist and classical thinking, wherein crimes that are economic and social in nature should be dealt in a positive manner. Thus, the law is more compassionate. Ideally, the classical theory is applied to heinous crimes, whereas the positivist is made to work on economic and social crimes. Heinous crimes should be dealt with in a classical manner, thus capital punishment. The revised penal code follows the mixed, eclectic theory. 4. Utilitarian or protective theory. The primary purpose of the punishment under criminal law is the protection of society from actual and potential wrongdoers. The courts, therefore, in exacting retribution for the wronged society, should direct the punishment to potential or actual wrongdoers, since criminal law is directed against acts or omissions which the society does not approve. Consistent with this theory is the mala prohibita principle, which punishes an offense regardless of malice or criminal intent. General provisions regarding the date of enforcement and application of the provisions of this code, and regarding the offenses, the persons liable, and the penalties, date of effectiveness and application of the provisions of this code. Article 1. Time when act takes effect. This code shall take effect on the first day of January 1932. Art 2. Application of its provisions. Except as provided in the treaties and laws of preferential application, the provisions of this code shall be enforced not only within the Philippine archipelago, including its atmosphere, its interior waters and maritime zone, but also outside of its jurisdiction, against Those who 1. Should commit an offense while on a Philippine ship or airship. 2. Should forge or counterfeit any coin or currency note of the Philippine Islands or obligations and securities issued by the government of the Philippine Islands. 3. Should be liable for acts connected with the introduction into these islands of the obligations and securities mentioned in the proceeding. Number 4. While being public officers or employees, should commit an offense in the exercise of their functions. Or 5. Should commit any of the crimes against national security and the law of nations defined in Title I of Book 2 of this code. These institutions organized by the government have incorporated themselves in order to establish a criminal justice system. This system is composed of the law enforcement, prosecution, court, corrections, and the mobilized community. Law enforcement effects the arrest of those people who violated the law. The prosecution considers the background to determine whether the person arrested for violating a law should be prosecuted. The court is the cornerstone of the system, wherein it determines whether the person charged with the criminal offense is guilty or not. Now, before we continue with our discussions with the different articles found in the revised Penal Code of the Philippines, let's learn some basic maxims in criminal law. Examples: doctrine of pro reo. This means that whenever a penal law is to be construed or apply, and the law admits of two interpretations, one lenient to the offender and the other strict to the offender, the interpretation which is lenient or favorable to the offender shall be adopted or applied. Doctrine of pro reo. This is in consonance with the fundamental rule that all doubts shall be construed in favor of the accused, and consistent with presumption of innocence of the accused. Hence, an accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. What is nullum crimen nulla pointa sine lege? This means that there is no crime when there is no law punishing the act. Because of this maxim, there is no common law crime in the Philippines. No matter how wrongful, evil, or bad the act is, if there is no law defining and punishing the act, the same is not considered a crime. Hence, the person doing the act cannot be charged or indicted. Another is actus non facit reum nisi mens sit re. This means that the act cannot be criminal where the mind is not criminal. This applies only to intentional felonies or those characterized as dolo, but not those felonies resulting from negligence culpa. Another is actus me invito est meus actus, an act done by me against my will is not my act. Usually, this is applicable to exempting circumstances, particularly paragraphs 5 and 6 of Art. 12 of the RPC, i.e., the offender is under the compulsion of an irresistible force or uncontrollable fear. Another is ignorantia legis non excusat. Ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. A legal principle holding that a person cannot not escape liability for violating a law merely because he or she was unaware of its content. The rationale of the doctrine is that if ignorance were an excuse, a person charged with a criminal offense would merely claim that she is unaware of the law in question to avoid liability, even though she really knows what the law in question is. This doctrine imputes knowledge of all laws to all persons, considering that laws are published or circulated in national newspapers, in the official gazette, and even in the internet. Ignorantia facti excusat. Honest mistake of fact excuses the actor from criminal liability because a person acting under a mistake of fact does not have criminal intent. Not applicable in the following: 1. When there is mistaken identity, error in personae. 2. When there is negligence on the part of the accused. 3. When the accused committed a culpable felony. Until next time, we will have more discussions and surprises on our next episodes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Bye bye and have a blessed day one and all.